This video may get some controversy. Honestly, I don't know, but I want to do a video about this as to why I still encourage people to drive for Lyft and Uber. I know I may get a lot of hate from a lot of drivers because right now in ride sharing, there's never been more tricky things going on. I've mentioned this in other videos, and I will say this is going to be a very raw, unedited video where I'm just kind of talking off the cusp, kind of like a fireside chat, so to speak, right? Some of these videos on this channel are very like technical analysis of like the requirements and ways to make more money driving, all this kind of stuff. All the ones are more like conceptual videos, like philosophical ride sharing, so to speak. That's one of these videos because I've gotten, as you can imagine, thousands upon thousands of comments since I started posting videos on this channel. And I'd say about 75 to 80% of them are usually negative of drivers saying, oh, I hate Lyft and Uber. And I've even had drivers go as far as say like, hey man, I like your videos, but why are you continuing to make them? Like, why are you continuing to encourage people to drive for Lyft and Uber? On the other end, I've gotten, let's say about 20-ish, maybe a little less, depending, percent of comments that are positive, being like, hey man, I love these videos. And I would say most comments are positive in terms of the videos I make, but I have 20% of comments being like, hey, I love Lyft and Uber. It allows me to have a flexible schedule. I make really good money, et cetera, et cetera. And the first thing I want to say, and this is the big thing when it comes to me encouraging people to drive, the first thing I want to say is remember that I think if you feel, and this is true for a lot of reviews, if you feel negative about something, I think you're more likely to review it than if you feel just okay about something, right? If let's say you rank it out of 5 stars. If let's say you want to rank something 1 out of 5 stars, you're more likely to post that comment or that review or get your word out there than if let's say something is 4 out of 5 stars, you're like, all right, it's good. Now granted, if you let's say have a 5+ star out of 5 star experience, of course you're probably gonna be very positive about that. But one, I want to say that I think that, I've had a lot of people say, hey, I've seen a lot of negativity about Lyft and Uber. Is it really worth it or not? Like, I just see so much negativity. My answer is always yes, 100%. You should try it out. The second reason why I encourage a lot of people is because you truly never know. I have had some people be like, well, you just encourage people because you make content about Lyft and Uber. You just encourage people because they might click your promo link or your referral code or whatever. No, when it comes to like me encouraging people, I have seen some people watch my videos, they start driving, and they fall in love with it. They have their flexible schedule, all these benefits we know. There's instant cash outs, in their area for whatever reason, they make a lot of money. It's exactly the job they want. So I think that's the second thing is that there have been a lot of people who I know have signed up, who started driving, who absolutely fall in love with it. And this comes down to the third thing. I think this is a big thing, is that like I mentioned in other videos, there's never been a more polarizing aspect when it comes to rideshare drivers. And yes, I'd say when it comes to being a rideshare driver, I might even say at least half the time, it turns out to be not the best, for lack of a better phrase. You realize, in my area, I'm not making that much money. Lyft and Uber's taking advantage of me. The bonuses aren't really good in my area. I'm putting so much appreciation on my car. The list goes on and on. But I'm not gonna lie as well though, maybe even sometimes around half the time as well, people start driving for Lyft and Uber and they absolutely love it. And so I think the third thing is that when it comes to the whole ride sharing world, when it comes to the whole ride sharing landscape, there are a lot of drivers that have not spoken up, who don't really say anything, who do it and love it. I've interviewed so many drivers, not only online, but offline as well. And the amount of times, it's very interesting, the amount of times when I talk to a driver and they're like, oh my God, like I love driving. Like, dude, you should hear how much money I'm making an hour. Like, this is great. Like, you should hear the bonuses I'm getting, blah, blah, blah. A lot of drivers tend to love it. And that's why I still encourage people to drive, because there is so many benefits to driving for Lyft and Uber. In a weird kind of way, I had a very unique story with Lyft and Uber, especially because it's actually what got me into being like a big, I don't say big YouTuber, but it really showed me the potential of YouTube, I think is a better way to word that. But in terms of the driving aspect, I remember when I drove, it was the perfect thing for my schedule. When I was doing music and I was doing YouTube, I'd wake up, I'd do the morning commutes, come back to my house, work on music, do the evening commutes, and I was done for the day. And I was like, this is amazing. This could not be a more better job with all the benefits that we know about. And I think for a lot of people, they are in the same position that if, let's say, you just gave it a try in your area, you just tested out the waters, you just, kind of said like, all right, I'm going to do it till I get the sign up bonus, like I've said before in other videos. Or maybe even if you don't care about the sign up bonus, you're like, I'm just going to do 10 rides. Just do 10. If I like it, cool. If not, no big deal. Like I said as well in other videos, you don't need to have a certificate or a college degree or whatever. I've mentioned this, that I had to do crazy schooling for years to get a certified, or an undergraduate degree in accounting. And a lot of accounting firms require you to have a bachelor's degree in accounting, right? And I see some jobs posted online saying, all right, you need a bachelor's degree in accounting and you get paid $25 an hour, right? I think that I've seen that a lot in a lot of different places. However, in a good amount of areas, you can make about $25 an hour as an Uber and Lyft driver. And it's like, $25 an hour on average with a flexible schedule. You can instantly cash out your earnings. Like, it's a fun job, way better than accounting, trust me. As much as you may hate ride sharing for some drivers out there, doesn't touch how bad accounting is, right? You can listen to music while doing like all these different benefits. It's like, why not be a rideshare driver? Because you don't even have to go to these 4 years of schooling. Yes, you do need certain things. Like, of course, you typically need a car, you need a driver's license, but most people have a driver's license. And if you don't have a car, you can rent one. And I know it's super unfortunate because renting's anywhere between like $200 and $300 a week, but you maybe work your way up, you get your own car, et cetera, et cetera. So I still think there's so many amazing benefits to being a rideshare driver, and that's why I still encourage it. I want to do this kind of video. I know it's kind of a bit vague, kind of all over the place, but I wanted this video about why I still encourage people to drive, just because I've never seen more, I think, negativity around being a rideshare driver. And I will say some of it, and a lot of it is justified, right? Uber and Lyft's doing a lot of really messed up stuff. And then I think when you throw into the mix of everything with being an independent contractor versus an employee, Boston right now is talking about maybe doing unions. There's all these weird legal stuff going on that like does make it a lot more skeptical. Where you're like, shoot, I'm already hearing a bunch of negative stuff about Lyft and Uber. And now there's all this weird legal stuff with, I'm just not going to touch it. So I do think that there's a lot of weird things and a lot of negative things, for lack of a better phrase, going on. But at the end of the day, I still think that there's a lot of people out there who would, like, say, if they did start driving, would benefit a tremendous amount from it. Whether you love Lyft and Uber or hate it, and I did a video about this in the past, whether you love Lyft and Uber or hate it, there's one undeniable fact is they have created tons of jobs for so many people. Like, say, a lot of people who come to this country, it's tough to get an education, they're tight on funds, they just start driving and they're able to make money. I've talked to a lot of drivers who are like, yeah, I didn't know where to start. I couldn't get a vehicle because my credit's really bad and blah, blah, blah. But I was able to rent a vehicle and now I'm getting myself out of debt. I'm just driving a lot and working a lot and I can work as much as I want. It's not like when I used to bartend, for example. It's not like as a bartender, you're like, hey, I'm only working 20 hours this week. Can I get an extra 10 hours? And your boss says, no, sorry, that we can only give you 20 hours. Well, with Uber, in a sense, there's an unlimited amount of hours that you can work and really push it. Like, say, if you want to do it as your full-time income, or let's say for a lot of people, I think this is one of the biggest benefits for a lot of people, and the hundreds of thousands of drivers on the road, is a good amount of them do it part-time. So like, say you have a 9-to-5 job, but you're trying to get out of debt, you do it on Friday and Saturday nights. Like, so you're saving up for a vacation. You're like, hey, this next week, in addition to my 9-to-5 job, I'm gonna drive a lot to save up a lot of money for the vacation. Or, and this is something I did, like, say if I'm going out that night, I'm like, all right, I just need some side cash. I'm going to drive for Lyft and Uber, make $50 or $100, cash out, and then have that money for that night or whatever. There are a tremendous amount of benefits when it comes to driving. But like I say to a lot of people, you truly don't know until you actually sign up and start driving. And like I said, I'm very transparent. In some cases, depending on a lot of factors like your location, the logistics, the bonus structures, it might not be worth it. You might be better off finding another job that is flexible as well, or another gig or whatever. However, though, I think there's a lot of people out there that once they signed up and actually started doing it and driving, they're going to benefit from it. Because I've talked to a lot of people who said, look, as weird as it is to say, Uber and Lyft is one of the best things I ever signed up to do because I'm getting all these benefits from it and I'm absolutely loving driving.